Many of you who watched this video really seem to connect with the struggles of decision paralysis that often come with room design, especially as it relates to incorporating your love of hi-fi and home theater into your real-world living spaces. While we game plan our own redesign, I thought I'd share one with you that you might want to use in your home theater. Now, this design focuses on three main goals. Number one, I want this to be an actual Dolby Atmos multi-channel home theater. Two, I want it to take up zero floor space. And three, it has to look and sound good. Let's start with the screen. In the past, if you wanted an authentic, cinema-like experience in your home, the only real choice you had to go with was a front projection setup. However, in the last few years, truly big TVs, I am talking TVs greater than 85 inches diagonally, have not only come down in price, but have absolutely exploded in popularity, with virtually every major manufacturer offering a solution or two in these giant sizes. For this build, I'm going with our new reference TV, the TCL QM7K. It gets the nod for its accurate out-of-the-box picture quality, excellent brightness, and light uniformity, as well as its snappy operating system and general trouble-free day-to-day use. Now, I'm speccing the 98-inch model, which has a street price of roughly $2,500, though you could easily go with the 85-inch model and save about $800. If TCL isn't for you, you could easily substitute Sony's Stellar Bravia 9 or Bravia 7, as long as you don't have a need for a TV larger than 85 inches. Now, one of the goals of this home theater is for it to be as minimal as possible, which to me means a theater that is functional but unobtrusive. The easiest way to pull off a stealthy install is to go with in-wall and in-ceiling speakers, which you can do as most speaker companies offer this. But if cutting holes in your walls isn't an option, on-wall speakers work great. And I know a lot of you watching this fall into this category, which is why I'm going with Sonus Faber's Sonetto on-walls for this build. I know the Sonettos won't meet everyone's budget. However, I'm sticking with my recommendation here for two reasons. The Sonettos are incredibly attractive, looking more like mountable furniture than a speaker. And second, given my experience with the brand's various two-way bookshelf speakers, the Sonetto is a no-brainer choice for a speaker that should appeal to both music and movie lovers alike. And the Sonetto comes in three finishes: walnut, wenge, and black. Now, I'm opting for the walnut. It has a more timeless quality that's bound to work in modern and traditionally styled living spaces. And I'm speccing a 5.1.2 Dolby Atmos system for this exercise, which means I need 5 Sonetto on-walls, which will run me just under $7,500. Of course, you don't have to go with the Sonettos. There are other options, like Kef's Q4 Meta at $599 each, or $3,000 all in, or Bowers & Wilkins M1 at $1,500 all in for 5 speakers. If you go with the Bowers & Wilkins, you can opt for 7 total speakers, 5 for your left, right, center, and surrounds, and 2 more for your height channels, as the M1s have built-in mounts that work on both walls and ceilings. 7 matching M1s will run you just over $2,000 while giving you a truly seamless surround sound experience while looking pretty stylish in the process. Ideally, I would use in-ceiling loudspeakers for height channels, as they will be the most unobtrusive. However, I'm keeping this build renter-friendly, so I'm actually going to spec the B&W M1s for height channels to go with the Sonettos. I get it, B&W, Sonus Faber, 2 completely different brands, and they may not be the perfect sonic matches, but I don't sweat the small stuff, and honestly, neither should you. Besides, Dirac or Odyssey can sort all that out. The M1s make for great height or Atmos channels for 3 reasons. One, they're small and they come in a matte white, which should allow them to blend in with most unpainted ceilings, and they have a built-in mount that provides decent placement flexibility. Now, one thing you have to keep in mind when using smaller loudspeakers, especially on-wall or in-wall models, is not to overlook a subwoofer. Unlike many freestanding ported speakers, on-wall and in-wall speakers don't always have the cabinet volume or ports to augment their low frequencies, which can make them sound larger than they actually are. Now, I could easily spec Sonus Faber's matching Gravis 2 subwoofer in a walnut finish, but I will save a little money here, and instead I'm going to go with my go-to small subwoofer, the SVS 3000 Micro at $899. And with my savings, I will also pick up SVS's wireless subwoofer kit at $120 to reduce the unsightly cables necessary to ensure a proper subwoofer installation. Now to power this home theater, I'm speccing my go-to AVR, the Onkyo RZ30. For just under $1,000, you get a 9.2 channel home theater receiver with plenty of power that can handle difficult to drive speakers, has 2 independent subwoofer outputs, full preamp outs for future expandability, next-gen HDMI 2.1 support, a music streamer built in, and arguably the best room EQ software in the rack included right out of the box. Now you can spend more and get more channels, power, and some measure of refinement and go ahead and opt for maybe Onkyo's RZ70, Sony's 7000 ES, or a Marantz Cinema 30. But for what we're building today, the RZ30 at $999 more than fits the bill. Accessories are often overlooked when building a home theater, but when going for stealth, we need to make sure we cross our T's and dot our I's. Now, the TCL does have built-in streaming apps for services like Netflix, HBO Max, Disney Plus, and more. But I'm going to go add an Apple TV 4K to the mix, as well as a mount to affix it to the back to keep it hidden from view. I think Apple TV is superior to Google TV in that it's just more user-friendly. Its implementation of CEC or control over HDMI is also second to none, allowing you to use the ultra-simple Apple TV remote to control the whole system without additional programming. Since I want to maximize my floor space, I'm also going to snag my favorite TV mount from Vivo. I love this mount so much so that every TV in our home, including our 98-inch models, use it. Throw in a spool of CL-rated speaker cable, a set of banana speaker adapters, and 2 high-speed HDMI cables, and we are all set and out the door for around $400. Of course, you can cut down on the cost of accessories by using your TV's built-in OS in lieu of an Apple TV, and if you can't wall mount, using the TV's included stand will save you even more. If you caught our Small Spaces home theater video earlier in the year, you already know that all of my designs and installs start with the TV. If you want a more in-depth breakdown of how and the why of TV mounting, please check out that video. In the interest of time, let's assume we already understand things like viewing angles and distance and just go ahead and skip ahead to where we mount the TV at the proper height so that our seated eye height falls somewhere between 1/3 to halfway up the screen. With our TV mounted, let's turn our attention to the speakers. The Sonus Fabers spec'd here come with wall mounts, which is a really nice touch. Starting with the left and right main speakers, we're going to want to mount them on either side of the TV, spaced far enough apart that the distance between them closely resembles or even matches the distance from our TV to our sofa. So if we're seated, say 9 feet away from our TV, we want 9 feet or close to between our left and right main on-wall speakers. We're also going to mount them at a height where the tweeter sits in relative alignment with our seated ear height. Positioning them this way is going to give you the most expansive and accurate soundstage for both music and movies. Next, we're going to mount the center speaker directly below the TV. Now for this example, I'm mounting the speaker horizontally to save space. While this may not be the speaker's ideal position, for most listeners, it's not going to be an issue. The benefits of having a dedicated center speaker in this position far outweigh any potential sonic pitfalls one may experience by mounting a speaker like this on its side. If you can't mount your TV, you may run into issues finding room for a center channel below your TV. In this case, just go with the phantom center, which means using your left and right speakers to approximate the presence of a center speaker. Assuming we have parallel walls, we'll want to mount the surround speakers to the side and slightly behind our main listening chair or sofa and at a similar height to our left and right mains. Now, it's okay to fudge the height a bit and mount your surrounds a little higher if you'd like or if it's more convenient. Just don't put them too close to the ceiling if you can help it. When it comes to mounting the Atmos channels in our 5.1.2 setup, you're going to want to pick a spot on your ceiling that is in relative alignment with your left and right mains, and that falls approximately halfway between your front wall, the wall your TV and your main speakers are mounted on, and your listening position. The B&W M1 speakers we've spec'd make doing this super easy thanks to their built-in mount that allows them to also be angled downwards and slightly toward our listening position. Lastly, we need to place our subwoofer in its optimal position. If you need help finding where that might be in your room, I'll link to a few of our videos that will help below. For this example, let's go ahead and assume that the front left corner is a good location. Connect the SVS wireless receiver to the 3000's subwoofer input, and let's just move on. With our speakers in place, it's time to wire everything up. For the most professional looking install, you're going to want to run your speaker cables behind the drywall, which isn't as hard as it sounds. However, if you've never done it before, or you know your home is made using materials like, let's say, concrete, old school plaster lathe, or your walls have a lot of fire breaks in them, it's probably best to consult a professional installer or an electrician. But hey, if you're in a DIY mood, our CL-rated speaker cable used for this example is safe to put behind drywall. To keep things easy and rental friendly, you can run the cables down the walls and hide them inside a narrow paintable cable track. So just measure the distance from each speaker to your equipment console, adding about a foot or so for slack or in case you make a mistake, and cut 7 appropriate lengths of cable from the spool. Now strip the outer sheath off the ends of the cable, exposing the smaller red and black cables inside. Strip about 1/4 inch of the red and black cover from each and expose the bare copper. Now, grab the banana adapters we spec'd earlier and match red to red, black to black, following the instructions on how to affix the ends to the bare copper for all 7 lengths of speaker cable. Now, connect the cables to the back of the speakers, connecting the red lead to the red speaker terminal and the black to the black. Hey, by the way, this is how you make your own speaker cables, regardless of your choice in speakers. Now, we need to connect the other end of our speaker wire to our receiver. The speaker terminals on the back of the RZ30 are clearly labeled left, right, center, surround, left and right, and so on and so forth. Connect each speaker to its corresponding terminal on the back, making sure to connect red with red and black with black. Don't worry if it looks a little cluttered. This is normal and just one of the unfortunate drawbacks of having multiple discrete speakers. With all your speakers connected, you can do your best to tidy things up using cable wrap or zip ties, which I'll link to below the video. Next, connect the wireless subwoofer transmitter to one of the Onkyo's preamp outputs marked sub out. All that's left to do is to connect our Apple TV to one of the Onkyo's HDMI inputs, likely the one labeled Streambox, using one of our HDMI cables, and then connect our TV to the receiver using the other HDMI cable, this one running between the Onkyo's main monitor out and the TCL's HDMI input labeled ARC, EARC. With all the connections made, it's time to plug in our TV, receiver, and subwoofer and power everything on. Each product has its own initialization process, so be sure to follow the on-screen prompts for each device and you should be up and running in no time. Now, for best results, I recommend placing the TCL, or just any TV, in its cinema, movie, or filmmaker picture profile. These profiles typically offer the most accurate image out of the box. And using the included microphone and running the free version of Dirac on the RZ30 to better tune your speakers and subwoofer to each other and to your room, I don't know, grab a bag of popcorn and just enjoy the show because your home theater is done. So that's it. That is now my virtual build of what is a very, very stealth but true Dolby Atmos setup. What do you guys think? What would you substitute? What would you change? How would you expand upon this? Let's get the conversation going. If you like this video, you find videos like this helpful, also let me know. I got a lot of builds rattling around in my head to share with you. In the meantime, thank you guys so much for watching. And remember, the only person who has to like the sound of your system is you. So happy listening. Thank you for watching, and we will see you on the next video. Bye.